Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Live Chat with Josie. Today I am hosting a very phenomenal lady all the way from Zimbabwe. Her name is Tendai SOKOSTINA Garwe. She is well known in Zimbabwe. She's a television host, a radio host, a journalist. She's done it all. But she is so well known as SOKOSTINA. SOKOSTINA, welcome to Live Chat with Josie.
I am so honored to be with you, Josie. It's surreal. It's so surreal to be on your show.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate you. Tonight we are launching your book. Um,
Thank you.
is it the first one?
It is the first Tendai Garwe book. It definitely is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So Tendai, before we dwell into the book,
Yes.
a letter to your son,
Mm-hmm.
which I've just placed the cover on in front of our screens for people to see. I just want to know exactly who is Tendai Garwe, besides what I've said about you.
Okay, Tendai, born 7 November. I'm a Scorpio, so that's a hectic already. 7 November 1982. So I'm 38 now. I'm a middle child, so that comes with a lot of things. I have an older sister. My dad has two families, and my mom is the first. And in my mom's family, we three. My older sister Lucy, my younger brother Andre. They're both married with their families, and then in my dad's second family, I have two younger brothers and one half sister. So that's who Tendai family is. My mom is late. She died the same year that you know uh, gave birth to what we're going to talk about today. I was schooled in Manicaland. I started in Chipinge. I was at Chipinge Primary, then went to Chancellor Primary, then I went to Bonda, St. David's Girls, and then I went to Africa University, and I did some post grad in leadership and governance, and now film school. So
Okay.
I am a person who has grown up in different parts of Zimbabwe. And then, while I was at school, I decided I always knew I was a loudmouth and actress. I've always been drama, debate, and then I went into NGO work. I did a lot of women's rights activism. I'm in the history. I might have gone down in conversations right now, but I was there. Then an opportunity came for me to go into mainstream media, and I went into radio first, and then I hung my boots full time radio, and then I moved to TV broadcast, which I am right now with a ZTN. We just got a TV license, so
Oh
that's
yes,
where
I know you would say that.
that's where and I lead a team of brilliant creatives and producers for entertainment and soft content. So my journey, that's basically it. But my fun life, you know it. I am an orthodox, ungovernable monkey, and that's where Sokostina actually comes from. Sokostina
Okay.
means a monkey with swag. That's basically what it means.
Okay, so yeah, I am also a Soko.
Yes.
That's my thought. Like sisters. Obviously, we are sisters. Anyway, tonight on the 27th of December 2018, you
Yes.
almost knocked on heaven's doors. We laugh about it. You
Josie, I
almost left
actually
us.
you're actually right because 27th is the day I went for my operation, but the actual crash happened on the 21st, and I was coming from work with a workmate of mine, and there was a drunk driver who cut into the road, and there was a Hilux coming from Chisipiti along Enterprise Road that came straight into us, and I saw everything happen. I saw, and when people say when an accident happens, it happens in slow motion. That's a lie. It happens very quickly. What happens
Hmm.
after is in slow motion, because you're in so much pain and you want people to help you, but they are slow. You're like, oh my god, Open the door. Like, hurry up.
Okay,
I'm about.
you were not conscious. You were actually conscious. You're not
Yes, I was.
unconscious.
I wasn't
Oh,
unconscious. I didn't knock out.
so you saw
When
everything, like people rushing to the car.
Yes, and I know the names of the people who came. I know and I was even giving instructions of what people should do to help me out because my left hand, was looking where it wasn't supposed to be. So I could see my
Oh
hand. I was like,
my.
ah! And then I could see my legs. I was like, why do I see my legs when they're supposed to be down there? And that's when I realized I'd broken my legs. Both my legs. I shattered one, broke one, and then my other hand. So I saw everything, but the weirdest thing is the first thing I did, I called out to find out if Rumbi, the driver, was still alive. I think I didn't want anyone to. I didn't want to like I lost a friend in a car. I just lost my mom earlier that year, so I didn't want to lose anybody else. And my son had also left to go to Australia to be with his dad. So it was a very tough year for me. So I can't explain. There was so much going on at the same time, but I saw everything happen. I remember two white friends ran across the road, and they were giving me instructions. Your hand is broken. We're not going to do this to your hand. We're going to break the door. Otherwise, you're going to break your neck. And yeah, so I saw everything happen.
All right. So Tina, what lessons did you learn from the accident up to now?
That life is short. That is not up to you. That the worst thing can happen that brings out the best things in people. That you have to be kind and patient to yourself and trust the process. Um, because I then did a whole year in hospital, and that whole year
One
I met
full year.
one full year, 2019. I learned that you don't have you you don't have to worry about what's happening beyond your control. It's only the things that are within your sphere and your reach that you can influence. But the craziest and most amazing thing is I met you while I'm in hospital. I met my person, um, the person I'm with right now, my partner. I met him when I was in hospital. Um, I got very close to my dad, my siblings, my family. It really was. I think it was time for me to slow down. I think a lot of us, we are busy with life. Um, we are all over like body lotion. But there
Mm.
comes a point where time actually slows you down and says, uh, let's let's chill. And that's exactly what happened for me in 2019.
All right, and then you were in hospital for a full year. This is
Yes.
2020, where some of us actually say 2020 should end, but we look at someone like you who lost a whole 2019, and then 2020, the pandemic has come. I mean, it's like 2 years in your life that you feel like, why is everything going on like this? But then in those 2 years, you've been inspired to write a book. So I want to know what exactly is the inspiration behind that book.
Well, this book, Josie, was an accident. Like, put it as a I didn't mean for it to happen. Although, you know what? A lot of people say to me, write a book, write a book. And I was writing. Actually, I have like four manuscripts I was writing. But this one I had energy for because I was writing a letter to my son. It was a proper letter. When the accident happened, Tawanda had just moved to Australia with with his other mom and his dad and two siblings. And and he lost his grandmother and couldn't come and bury his grandmother. Then I had an accident, and his father decided it wasn't wise to tell him exactly what was happening, or to he didn't want me to talk to him either. It was a way of protecting him. I don't know, and I agreed to it because he Tawanda grew up with me for 14 years. I was his super person. Like mom could do anything, so it was my weakest. But in that realization, of me having an accident, going to hospital, fighting for my life, I realized there are things I hadn't told my son. There are things that if I had died, I wouldn't have given him the basics of how to maneuver life. So, in my effort of trying to tell him what to do, because I still didn't know if I was going to make it anyway, because it was very complicated, my injuries. I thought, let me write him a letter. So it was supposed to be like 4 pages, Josie. And I saw myself finishing a whole A5 just writing. And it was handwritten with my right hand, the one that wasn't broken, because this one wasn't working. So I actually hand wrote it. That's what inspired. I thought as a mom, if I had died, he wasn't going to have me throughout his life. Everybody has their mom, and I just lost mine. And there are things I wished my mom had told me and prepared me for life. So I thought,
Mhm.
oh my God, at least if I tell him these things, if I'm there or not there, I would have still given him some wisdom for life. That's how it happened.
All right. So you started writing the book in hospital in
Yes.
2019 and you just finished it in 2020. So at what stage did Tawanda now find out that you were actually involved in an accident?
Tawanda found out the day I had. Well, he's ahead like 9 hours. So my sister spoke to him. He found out as soon as I had the accident. And then there was a time I gained consciousness. I was unconscious for 2 weeks in ICU. And I gained consciousness. And the first thing I asked for is to talk to my son. So my sister removed all the gadgets that were on my face. And we made a call.
Lifesavers.
And we made a call, and he says, "But mom, you look swollen." And he was happy that I remembered it was him and that I'll be okay. That's what I reassured him. And so he knew mom had injuries, but we didn't tell him how severe they were. And
Oh,
that's
okay. So it's the severity of your injuries that your his father didn't want to tell him, but he knew
yes,
you had an accident. Okay, I understand. I
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Okay, Tendai, I've read the book. That
Yeah.
was my that was my to do work
Okay.
today, the whole
Yeah.
day. Um, the first chapter, don't judge a book by its cover. Why? Why did you make that like the first chapter to your son?
Because a combination of he's now in a foreign land, he's a black Zimbabwean young man who the color of your skin when you're outside the
Hmm.
country is a big deal.
Yeah.
And how we're socialized majority is the book you indulge later, but the cover is what makes you decide to pick up the book. And he by himself is a book. And people will decide to engage with him or not because of who he is and the cover. And his cover is he's male, he is black, he's Zimbabwean. But I didn't want it to make it about him. I wanted him to know what I had gone through with the prejudice of my cover and
Mm.
how my life was so much about proving myself because of the cover of the book I carry. Um, that's what and I knew it was. I mean, eventually I knew it was going to be a book or something. And I've always heard, and that has always stuck to me, don't judge a book by its cover. And I'm worried about him a lot of times because my son is, um, he's, he has a purity to him. He believes everybody is got right intentions. He's not like me. I'm super, I
Scrutinize. You scrutinize like
I'm not,
me.
and I'm just suspicious of everything. I'm like,
No,
what
I
are they?
think that's Soko blood. We are all
I
like
think
that.
so.
And then I
Yeah.
go to lesson 13. I'm picking this randomly. Never
Okay.
despise days of small beginnings. Do you
Absolutely.
say Tawanda grew up in, I don't know, Tell me how Tawanda grew up with you as a
Okay,
mom.
so Tawanda's dad and I separated when he was 9 months. It was a very abusive marriage. So I actually had to run away, and I don't hate him at all now.
Mm,
Um, and Tafazo was also going through what he was going through, and couldn't help per se help me look after Tawanda at that particular point. So I was a single mom, and I had to hustle. And having myself been brought up in privilege, I wanted my son to also experience privilege. So I, I, I don't know if I put myself under pressure, but we did try. We started out in a very small flat, and my brother was also there, was going to school. When I had basic things that my mom actually took out from her house, and we stayed Megawatt Court, and he used to go to a good nursery school and stuff, and then he went to Avondale Primary School, and then I couldn't afford the rent here in Harare. They're very expensive for me, so I moved to our family home, which is in Marondera. So I used to commute from there, coming to work. Even though I was working for an NGO, most of my money was going to look after him, like send him to the best schools, and I sent him to Waizawa, which is a private school.
mhm.
So, but he didn't always have. I remember the one time we had so much chicken feet. He ended up asking, "Mom,
Oh,
where's
I
the
love
chicken?"
those
I
today. I
love
love
them.
those
I
Zondora.
love them. I love them. But he's like, "Mom, where's the chicken? Like, where's the rest of the chicken? Like, you know what I mean?" And then one day he came back. He was a day scholar then, and he came back home one day and said, "Mom, I want to be a boarder." And the school was a stone throw away from the house.
Mm,
But he said, I'm not experiencing what my peers are experiencing. He's very mature for his age. So I
mhm,
worked even harder and sent him to boarding school. But obviously he didn't know, because I'm a boarding school die hard. I went to boarding when I was 5.
mm,
He went when he was like 8, 9. So that's how he's humble. His beginnings are humble. But when you talk to him, and I really would love one day for you to talk to him, he has a crazy mind of building me a home with a helicopter padding on the top. So he's like, where he comes from, I didn't want him to despise it in any way, that it was no one's fault, it wasn't his fault, it was what it was. That was what's written for his journey. That's why I told him about lesson 13. And even when he decides to start his businesses, if he's if he starts from zero, it's okay. Humble beginnings doesn't mean you're not going to get to where you're going.
mm. All right, I just want to acknowledge some of the people that are watching us right now. My sister, she is actually in the UK. She says Anasoko Mese, and then she invites Ruvimbo Wekwa Jesu and your Bonda crew. Um, then Lady Scara B says, wow, Sokostina, how are you, dear sis? Hi, Josie and family. Hello, everybody. Madoi Saddam says hello. And Otrud Chingaira says, Sokostina Kuri sei kumarondira. Sanelisiwe says, congratulations, Soko.
Thank you.
Those are some of the messages that we have for you.
Okay. Thank you, Josie.
All right, so you also had the nerve to write a lesson to your son on romantic relationships. That's lesson 22. Then you go on to lesson 23. Let's talk about sex. You have the nerve, because I don't think I can do that to my boys. How has Tawanda taken lesson 22 and lesson 23?
Well, lesson 20. Lesson 22 was okay for him, because he does
Okay.
tell me about the girl he likes, and I think this other girl and the other. But lesson 23 was like, mom. I was like,
Okay.
because because when you read lesson 23, it talks um about partner. I first say partner, and then I then also didn't want him to think anything else. Then he said, "Mom, I did state that I'm heterosexual at the present moment." So I then went into sexual relations with a heterosexual, and the reason why I was open is because he's now in a first world, and people, boys, anybody experiments, and I didn't know, and I'm not one of those moms who would then be like, "Oh my God." So I just was being open. But regardless, the principles of sex and the lessons of sex are still the same. You don't be a selfish lover. I remember
Yeah,
my
but you
first.
expect, I mean, he's with his dad. I mean, you expect the dad to talk to him about those are from mom.
I'm a cool mom, and I didn't want to leave anything to chance because my ex-husband is not very talkative. Actually, he's a dad. If you talk to Tonda, he'll say, "Oh, dad is a dad." Like he's an African dad. Like, you
Oh,
know what I mean?
where does he come from? Like village.
Vaneno Mondoro. He comes from Mondoro.
At least it's not Kwagudu, I understand.
Ah, no, he's some the Zulu man who, he also grew up the only boy. So I think he also has his own, processes that he's still going through. So
Mhm.
I knew I needed to start something. He can finish it off, but I needed to talk about sex. And you know what? I wanted to let him know what sex means from a girl's perspective. uh,
Mm,
that when a girl says no, it means no. Because I brought up Tawanda. If I should tell you this, I was called to his school one time. Tawanda was being beaten up by girls. So, but with boys, he would he would fight them to the ground. So the headmaster calls me and says, "Your son, Anoro, he's beaten up by the boys, but like he fights the boys and he's beaten up by the girls. Why? He said you
ah,
never raise a finger to a woman because that
mm,
is a woman is like your mom. So if you raise your finger and beat up a woman, you're beating me up." And also,
mm,
so I wanted to, because his dad and I it was a very abusive marriage. So I didn't want, I thought if, in case it was inherited, I wanted it out of his system through learning
mm,
and socialization. So when I wrote about sex, I also wanted him to know that you have to seek someone's permission to pleasure them. You
mm.
don't take it from them. They have to say yes. They have to agree to it. And I think every parent should have that conversation with their children about sex. It's not a
Mhm.
taboo, Josie. Sex is not a taboo. We came from sex.
I know, but I mean, I expected Tawanda to react the way he's reacted. It's not a taboo. I mean, obviously, even here, like in the first world countries that we're living in now, it's not a taboo. You talk to your kids about these things. You talk to your kids about many things. You have to be open to them. But you know where we come from, Zimbabwe. It is a taboo. It
But then
is
you
a
also
taboo.
know who we are. We are the monkeys. We've got
We are the
no shame.
monkeys. We have our
We
own
don't.
rules.
We have our own rule. Exactly. We have our own rules and we have no shame. So it was necessary for me to empower him
Mhm. All
about
right,
sex. So
Tendai, let's talk about lesson 26.
okay.
Who is your foundation? A lot of people would differ with you on that one. Because before this, I had to speak to some people just to find out what they think about the book and stuff. And some people feel like, no, that's not true. Because there are some people that could not even afford school, but they're doing well in life. So, can you just explain what exactly you meant when you told Tawanda that school is your foundation?
So it's a principle I learned from my dad. And when he said school, he didn't necessarily mean a whole degree. And you will see
Mm-hmm.
that it links with the other lesson that talks about get your paperwork. So my dad would say to me, never ever date a man who cannot commit to finishing a course or a degree, because it brings discipline. I know a lot of people would say, yeah, other people went back to school or other people never went to school. Um, I was teaching him from also a place of where I was taught and things that I know would help him. things that would help him calculate life better. Because life is nothing but a game of thrones. And
Mm.
sometimes you need to be empowered by basics. And that's what I wanted him to have. There are people who are street smart and people who are book smart. And then there are people who are both. Now, if you have both, my guy, you are untouchable. And my son is a book smart. And his street smart is not necessarily people smart, right? So I wanted to arm him with the things that he knows he's good at. And also to not be shy and say, I am a pro education mom. I'm not
Mhm.
apologetic about it. And I don't, I think because of how, where also I went to schools. I mean, like the Bondo girls are giving me a shout out. I take pride in that I'm a Bondo girl. And because Bondo, it was beauty and brains. You had to have the brains to
Ngathi
go into
ayikuziva, we knew you. We knew you guys.
it's beauty and brains, but not only that, also Josie, it's the principles. They're basic principles, basic things you learn from education, and I want my son to have it. And he knows that it's important for his calculative life, and that he never leaves anything to chance. Because if you're
Mhm.
brilliant, education, some of us started with off with psychology degrees, but we are now top journals. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
It's just a foundation. It
Mhm.
it gives you perspective, it gives you exposure, makes you meet new people, helps you understand things in a different way. Then the world is your oyster. If he decides
Mhm.
then I don't want to do a master's or a PhD, that's for him. But
That's
at
fine.
least he's
Yeah.
got, yeah. So that's
Mm.
me. That's because you have to remember, and I know when you were reading it, there were drops of my diary and how I was
Yeah.
feeling on certain days. So it's also a very personal conversation, although it's now in the public. But
Yes, we all know now.
yeah, you all should know that to Tendai's son, he must do school.
Mhm.
Mm,
Okay. And you also told him on lesson 29 not to forget his origins.
yes,
You were talking of both mom and dad's origins. From my understanding when I read it.
yes, I was. I recently, you know, and you and I have had this conversation. I have realized that a big part of who I am is where I come from. My totem, who my mom's
Mhm.
totem is, who my grandmother is, who my we all come from a lineage, and a lot of people in not only in Hollywood, in the world, or in Zimbabwe, are tracing where they come from, and it's a big deal about where someone comes from. And we shouldn't be shy to tell our children their lineage and where they come from and how they can trace their relations and also see if there are any things they need to fix from their past or things that, you like, oh, my family was like this. Oh, okay, my clan, because my son is a Mofu. And they're a big thing in Zimbabwe, Mofus. And
We make them. How are they big? Yes, the
they're a big
Mukanyas
deal.
are the big ones.
And you know why they're even bigger deal to me? Because my mom is, so they're also
Mm.
my uncles. So for me, it was very
Aiwa, vana
important
mofu
to.
ndo vane yese, I know.
And bamnini yangu Nigeria takawati mofo, you know what I mean? So yeah, I wanted him to know that to trace who he is and where he comes from is very important. And in Africa, land is a big thing, and he should know the land of his forefathers, where they started and where they ended up. And like I said, he's a historian, so I gave him a lesson to actually do some history work and find out more about where he comes from.
And lesson 38, keep family traditions going.
Yes.
Um, I would want to differ with you there,
Tell me
Magoma,
why. Tell
because
me.
uh, look, generational curses and things like that. And we should just keep those traditions going, even if they're not good for us.
Okay, give me an example of the traditions you think I was talking to him
No
about.
example. I read it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so maybe
Okay,
I
like
should just
let's say my
mm,
parents are Catholics. That is a family tradition. I think my parents are Catholics, and we all grew up in Catholic. And there are times when I would attend my Pentecostal churches or do some things that they never did or they never believed in, and to them it's like it's taboo. But it's what's there now.
but the family traditions I was talking about is the traditions that unify the family. The
But
visit, the
yes, that's what
family.
you said to Tawanda, and I hope he understood, because if I just look at, okay, lesson 38 is keep family. Okay, it pushes me to read the lesson to understand what you meant. So I wanted you to, maybe to you should have said, Tawanda, on lesson 38, keep some family traditions going. Some.
Okay, I hear you. Maybe I should have said some, but maybe Nanji's Jitemba, and for the international people, because Jitemba is, and we know ourselves. Like, I believe I have
Okay.
passed down good traditions, which
Mm.
is for me the biggest tradition in my family, both, especially my father's side, is extended family. And what people should know is when I started radio in 2015, my tribe was the most insulted tribe. People used to say a lot of things about monkeys. Hey, you are a monkey. Oh my God. And when I decided to own, I promise you, and I said, I'm going to own and rock being a monkey. And they'll call me the queen monkey, and
And
I'll
you
be so
trademarked
protective.
it. And you even had
Yes,
to trademark
I
Sokostina.
had to trademark the name to show that I am who I am, and
Mhm.
and that's what I wanted to know that the it's okay to you're not going to get along with everybody, and of course that's why I said first edition. I'll correct it in the second. He's not going to get along with everybody, but extended family is a big deal here, Josie. And extended family is not just the people you're born into. You are my extended family by virtue of
Mhm.
we are in the same tribe. And because we're in the same tribe, it means our bloodline meets somewhere. We don't know
Somewhere.
how, why.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
want him to keep that tradition. I want him to get to Russia and bump into a black man and ask him, what's your totem? They say Mofu, and there's his brother instantly. And he
Yeah.
meets at Soko and says, "That's my mom." And instantly he has family. So there are things I really temper, but I'll correct it in second edition.
and and the one interesting one, respond, don't react. Oh my, that is powerful.
Thank you. Thank
Because
you.
I react before I respond.
I think I was telling him to not do what I do.
I
Because
know.
us monkeys, we hop from one branch to the other. Then we
Eh,
decide, oh, what tree are we on? What's the story? So
exactly.
I was trying to make him be grounded. If you saw, I was trying to make him find ground. So
Hmm.
he doesn't always react. And my partner always says to me, Tendai, slow down. Like, why are you mad? What's the story? And then later, because it's me, I refuse to back down. I just go, well, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 Okay. So I think I was just picking these randomly, but you know all these lessons. Is there any lesson that you really want us to talk about right now before we round up tonight?
Okay, one of my favorites is stay in your lane. I'm just forgetting which lesson it is. I I have done the stay. I want to claim the stay in your lane. I started saying it years back,
Hmm.
and stay in your lane is basically mind your business. Um, because I've noticed that we get so bogged down on what is Josie doing. I want to do it also. Why are they buying this? I want to buy also. It's like you live in comparison, and
Mm,
yet you are not in competition with anyone but your last personal best. And that's what I always try to
absolutely.
say,
Hmm.
that And I gave him the example of Usain Bolt that, it just so happens that the last personal best was his world record, was a world record. And if you go to any of his videos, and I've watched and looked at Usain, he didn't look who was on the left or the right. He just started his clock, looked at the clock, trying to beat his last time. Just so happened his last time was a world record. He wasn't worried about even if he came out last, he would celebrate that he beat his last personal best.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's where stay in your lane came from for me. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you encroach, you'll be disqualified. And your delay is not denial. Just because on
Absolutely
the next
true.
lane they are in front of you and they're running, maybe they're the false start. And but they come to the finishing line, they'll be disqualified. And then you start
Mm-hmm.
measuring yourself with them and comparing yourself with them. Now,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then the other one I like is the networking one. That as parents,
You really want him to be like you, yeah?
yeah, I want. You know what I was trying to show him, Josie? I was
Mm,
trying to let him know that one day, if I'm gone, and he walks into your office, Josie, and you ask him, "Who is your mother?" and you say, "You look like someone I know. Who's your mother?"
mm,
And then
mm,
he says, "Tendai SOKOSTINA Garwe." Guess what you're going to do? You will
mm.
open the door for whatever he's walked into that office
True.
for.
Yes. Mm.
So it's not about me, Josie. I network and I love and I give for him, for my children.
So your lessons are a legacy for Tawanda.
Yes, that's
Wow,
it.
that is deep.
You've just nailed it. That's it. I should have co-authored with me, Imaini. That's it.
That is very deep. And I so before we round off, I just want you to take a few seconds, a minute or whatever. Um, Speak from the heart. Like Tawanda is watching us right now. Say what you want because this video will live forever, even maybe beyond you and I. But will always be there for Tawanda.
Okay, so we call him Tawanda because his grandfather walked into the hospital and said their clan had few men, so now Tawanda.
Okay.
And it's a rare name for people his age because the names evolve. So his
Mm.
first name is Tinai Mudiwa. We have a loved
Okay.
one, Tawanda Mombeshora. Um,
Mhm.
I am so proud of who you are. I am so proud of the decisions that you make. I'm so proud of how you blended in and does don't make life difficult for Mama Jules. I am so proud of how you've made Australia seem like it's back home. But most of all, I'm proud that you know yourself and that regardless of what's happening to me, to your dad, to your siblings, and your other mom and your other sisters, you always come back and ask yourself, what would Tawanda do? And I'm so proud. Sometimes I can't even believe you're my child. Your grandfather once said to me, every time I look at Tawanda, I'm like, how did he become your child? So disciplined, so caring, so involved, and very considerate. So I am the one who's blessed. I'm so blessed to be your mother, and I'm going to ride on your fame. I'm super proud of you. Yeah, that's what I'd say to him.
Thank you so much, Tene. Now you want to make me cry. Thank you so much, Tendai, for, using my humble platforms to launch such a powerful book. I'd like to say congratulations to you. I'm super proud of you, Rakoma. Like I always call you,
Yeah,
every time when I feel down, when I need to talk about something, when I need to gossip, when I just want to share stuff. You're my to-go person. So I'm proud of you, sis. Congratulations on
thank
your
you.
first book.
Thank you.
This mustn't be the last one. Maybe
No,
the next one
no.
will be on Josie.
I know. And actually, if while I still have the mic, because I also want you to know, Josie, this is no humble platform. This was deliberate for me because This is an international platform. You speak to everybody and anybody. And I wanted this for myself. Like, I really wanted this for myself to say, I am on Josie's platform. I wanted that for myself because I'm so proud of you and I'm proud of whoever you decide to speak to, you speak to. So I just wanted to show off to people that I know you personally. That's all I would say.
And I also show off that I know you personally. Anyway,
So,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, even we have like two funerals in the family, but I told myself, despite all odds, we have to do this. I
we
always
have
want to
to,
stick to
yeah.
my promises. I recently just
Thank
lost
you.
my grandmother yesterday, and my grandfather
Oh,
decided to follow
sorry.
today. But I'm so happy that I could do this for you, Comment Wanda. Um, I just want you to use all the lessons that your mom has given you, use them, always refer to them, and let them be your pillar as you grow up. Thank you so much, Vakoma Tendai, for your
Thank you so
time.
much, Mainini. I really, really appreciate this.
All right. And thank you so much to all our viewers today. As I was speaking to Tendai Garwe, she is SOKOSTINA. I even forget her name sometimes. SOKOSTINA from Zimbabwe. She was launching a book, a letter to her son, Tinaye Mudiwa Tawanda Mundichura. Until next time here on Live Chat with Josie, it's a good evening.